Welcome to the bold analysis. Ladies and gentlemen, William Samoei Arap Ruto has been quiet about the fuel inflation in the country, which is behind the high cost of living. And instead, and even despite of coming through during the State of the Nation address, William Ruto decided not to make any statement on this issue of fuel. But then, what we have seen is an attempt by UDA members of parliament to run sly propaganda. And that is a bit laughable because on the cost of fuel, it doesn't matter how you will explain it. The solution is what can redeem the government's image. When people go to the pump and find the price going down, that is the only solution, not the political propaganda. In this podcast, I will explain for you why this is the full issue, is the looming cause of protest and rebellion in this country. I have a good reference from BBC. Make sure you watch to the end. And listen to this debate in Bungoma over the weekend. It was centered on cost of living.
Wengine kama Didmas hawa wanaongea, lakini wakifika huko wanapiga vile Ruto anasema wapige. Wewe wenyewe mnahangaika, mnasumbukana, bei ya vitu iko juu kwa sababu ya watu kama Didmas Baraza hapa. Bwana Didmas Baraza, wewe unataka kuwa gavana. Lakini ukitaka kuwa gavana wa Bungoma, usimame na watu wa Bungoma. Kwa ukweli, si ndio? Hey. Unajua Didmas ni rafiki yangu, naguza tu yeye kidogo. Juu tu. Sina ubaya na yeye.
Wakati mwingine huwa naambia huyu Godfrey Ososi. Unajua nimeona amenitaja jina yangu kama mara 15. Huwa naambia huyu Godfrey Ososi, hii watu wa Bungoma wanajua. Mimi niko na mwili mwembamba, lakini kichwa yangu hii nikikata nikupee utembee nayo usiku moja unakuwa mwenda wazimu sababu ya akili mingi niko nayo wewe usuka beba. Na ndio umeona hii wananchi wa Bungoma hawa wanajua mimi ni mtu mzuri. Mimi ni mtu sina maneno na mtu yote. Mimi ni mtu ukinikuta kwa barabara pengine nijitambulishe. Wewe unajua kama mimi ni mjumbe. Lakini mwanao Papa Godfrey Ososi wa abanu uli senate na ahwe pima wale ngo umrushali musahuru etokita ekimiba ya makusenda ku barabara amazina zikuseni.
Wananchi wanaumia. Tusaidieni ili huu ujumbe uweze kufikia hawa ndugu zetu wamekaa hapa. Didmas no si mwa. Hata nimeona vile umeanza kuongea sasa ni kama umeanza kushika laini, kwa sababu nilisikia juzi ukisema njembi waambie rais huku nje ni kubaya. Wananchi wanaumia, washukishe gharama ya maisha.
Na pengine Edwin Sifuna, wewe ni wakili, umekuwa baadhi ya wale watu ambao mmekuwa mkihangaika na yule mzee atimubadilishe katiba.
Alafu mnaanza kusema, oh baba, Raila Amolo Odinga, can you keep quiet? Wacha tukule kiburi yetu. Sonya na wini ya changago, na kwenye Raila usinge nga mafike futa.
Mimi nimesikiza marafiki zangu wakiongea hapa, wakitisha wa Kenya, ati hamukupigia baba kura, ati sijui muendelee kuumia. I want to tell the country, viongozi wote wa upinzani hawa ni biashara, wanafanya biashara. Wakati ile nyingine 2017 Raila yaunga kura, akaleta maandamano na fujo kwa barabara, akanaswa na Uhuru Kenyatta, akapatiwa pesa ile alipatiwa, akanyamaza, maandamano ikakwisha, akasonga mbele. Mwaka huu vile kura ilikwisha, tena wakaanza maandamano, wakatembea. Ukisikia Raila Odinga amenyamaza, he understands table manners. You can't be eating and talking at the same time. Kwa hivyo msifikiria sisi ni wajinga. Mumenyamaza kwa sababu mnakula. Wakati chakula inaisha kwa mdomo, utasikia wakiongea wakipiga kelele hapa. Kwa hivyo msitutishe ati Mungu kupigia kura. You are eating, continue observing table manners, lakini Mungu hataacha wa Kenya. Mungu awabariki sana.
Bwana asifiwe.
You can see, I listened to it, it was very interesting because you can see how MPs are skinning themselves in public on how the Azimio MPs are actually putting pressure on Didmas Baraza to put an explanation on the cost of living. And it mirrors the discussion in public. The public discourse is that the government has become insensitive about the cost of living. And I need to say this, Mr. President and the Kenya Kwanza team, the fuel inflation crisis cannot be handled by mere political propaganda because it actually deep into people's pocket. It doesn't matter how you can twist it. You can bring all the twists around it, but the solution is people going to find out that the prices have gone down. I want you to listen to Osoro and Ndidi Nyoro speaking somewhere in Kisii, explaining about the same and what looks like a propaganda against Raila Odinga because Raila said about the dossier.
Amesema atawacha kwa sababu gani? Amesema they do not want to pay Kenyan corruption. To pay because when Ruto alisema amewacha ametoa makampuni ya mafuta kununua mafuta kutoka ngambo. Anafanya kitu inaitwa G to G, at government to government. Kenya government is now buying oil from Saudi Arabia na serikali ya Emirates. Sasa lakini hiyo ni njama ya kunyanyasa wa Kenya. Hiyo bei ambayo wanauza hiyo mafuta katika kila lita wameweka 30 juu. Each and every liter of oil which they are selling, they are eating 30 shillings. They have loaded 30 shillings in each and every liter. That is to say, if 1 liter is costing 217 shillings, it should cost 187 shillings. Museveni amesema hataki kufanya nini? Kugharamia ufisadi ya Wakenya. He does not want to subsidize Kenyan corruption. And that's why amesema anakwenda Dar es Salaam kupitia mafuta kutoka Tanzania. Je, hii ni sawa sawa? Hii ni sawa sawa? Hiyo ninasema tumefanya uchunguzi na wiki ijayo mtatoboa. Mtatoboa.
Those two videos you've watched will give you a different, will paint for you a picture on the discourse. And that is why I normally tell you that in the Bold podcast, we don't give you 1 minute seconds clip because I normally want you to get context. You know, politicians are used to saying I was quoted out of context. So to avoid I was quoted out of context, we give you the full clip with the context. So the last time there was a fuel hike, things did not turn well and Moses Kuria unleashed terror on Kenyans. And I remember analyzing here that Kuria was a gun for hire.
Ukishinda kutoka ya asubuhi mpaka jioni, bei ya mafuta imeongezeka, si uchipe kisima yako. Dunia mzima tunajua bei ya crude oil imeenda juu. Na kama wale watu wa Makerere wako na kisima, mimi niko tayari kuchipa kesho. Nionyeshe ngoma yako, niambie wewe chipa mafuta hapa ndio bei iteremke. Na watu ni waajabu. Ile mambo tunaweza kufanya hawafanyi. Ile kujisajili wapewe fertilizer hawafanyi. na hiyo tunaweza, ila hatuwezi kama mambo ya mafuta ndio nalalamika.
I need to say something that I think after William Ruto and the team realized that the G2G is not going to give them any feedback, and they seem also not to have a solution to counter what the masses think, they have unleashed the political propaganda machinery. And in fact, Rigathi Gachagua yesterday was in Embu. I listened to the 14-minute speech. He spoke about many things, but there's been silence from the executive members, no one from cabinet. Even the vocal Moses Kura, after he was silenced last time, he's been so quiet about the same issue. But in this podcast, I want to show you something. That this matter is deep and it's a big problem even for Kenya Kwanza. They have resorted to run political propaganda, which according to me cannot solve it. You know, there have been an attempt to simplify the Kenyan cost of living crisis as a maize solution. And that is why what government has been saying is we have had bumper harvest. So because of bumper harvest, there's going to be cost of ugali can go down. In fact, it has been simplified as if the cost of unga goes down, that seems our problem is solved. But the cost of living is more complex and comprehensive. I think it's a bit complex than how it is being simplified. Because there are quite a number of other things that comes into play. You know, yes, maize addresses food. But let's just go with the three basic needs. Now the fourth one is added in it. Let's look at the three. Shelter, food. So, if you don't address shelter, surely, you see, people need to move. People need to have their houses. If fare is due, transport, mobility is high. And mobility is the biggest driver in economy because everyone is moving. Either someone is going to reporting to an office, or someone is going to some jengo, or some goods are moving. So mobility of the economy is a big problem and seems to have been, people just believe if we have maize, that's it. How will that maize reach the consumer? And that cost of that transport is being transferred to the same consumer. So it has been simplified. Look at it. If the cost of renewing your ID is 2,000, and getting a new ID is 1,000, I don't even know why the difference is that huge anyway. Will you think that people even have those IDs? So I was just checking the Ministry of Lands today. We were trying to do some transfer, and I realized every transaction under the Lands Ministry seems to have been doubled. Ask someone, jaribu kununua shamba hapa Nairobi. Just try buying shamba here, you will know what has happened. So, in the public, we're being served with a narrative that things are turning. But of course, something is amiss. Ladies and gentlemen, so I want to interrogate and give you some data sets here from BBC why this cost of living is a ticking time bomb. Before I do that, let me remind you about our partners, Top Mark Movers. This is a festive season, and many of us are moving items up country, or even relocating your offices towards the end of the year. Then, in transit, moving of goods, you need reliable company, affordable, professional to ensure the safety of your belongings. So that is why I advise you to reach out to Top Mark Movers. Top Mark Movers. Their number is +254 719 17 43 93. Top Mark Movers. Quality is everything. Contact them, and I believe you that your mobility solutions are well taken care of. Straight. I bumped into this article. Fuel protests gripping more than 90 countries. This article is eye-opening. That is just the title. You can, if you get some time, you can look at it. And I want to give you some insights. The high cost of living, this is an excerpt from it, are driving people to protest in the streets against crippling prices, The BBC has mapped all reported demonstrations over fuel since 2021, revealing a huge increase in protests this year, saying that people have been protesting about the cost of fuel. Around the world, demonstrations have called for change. They have demanded that petrol can be made more affordable or available at all. They have also sat in peaceful protest and they have attacked governments. Some have even paid even higher price. Now, there is two things. This article started the cost of living and driving people. Now, the cost of living and the fuel prices goes in tandem. And the biggest influencer on the cost of living is fuel. I don't know, an attempt to separate the two is they are inseparable. One triggers the other. And this article is saying that it's trying to map out countries that have seen protests about this. Now, this is a global petrol crisis saying, by analyzing data on demonstrations worldwide, collected by Armed Conflict Location and Event Data Project, the BBC has established that between January and September this year, people in more than 90 countries and territories took to the streets over the price or availability of fuel. A third were countries which had no protest at all over for 2021. Now, in Indonesia, there have been more than 600 protests over petrol so far this year compared to 2019 and 2021. There were also 200 in the first 8 months in Italy, 2022 compared to just this year. In Ecuador, there were over 1,000 protests over fuel in the month of June. Now, it borders two things. We are gambling with G2G, and our fuel has emerged as the biggest crisis the country is facing. When we're talking about the price, we also had a threat of availability because of the G2G, if we will not be able to meet our financial obligations on that day. So that article is giving a ticking time bomb to William Ruto that on the issues of fuel, kineza umana, if you don't, if you're not careful with it. Now, why is, from that data set, why do the fuel propaganda, how is it exposing William Ruto's underbelly? I want to explain it because this is the matter that instead of talking about how it's going to be addressed, we've reverted to diversions, propaganda just to run diversions. And this is why it's exposing William Ruto's biggest failure, terminal mistake on this. Number one, from the sound bites and the clips and from what you've just gathered, there seems to be a cover-up on the fuel dealers. Why do the MPs confront Raila? Because Raila wants to expose, has a dossier on what's happening with the fuel. Why do the Osoro and Dini Nyoro have a problem with the fact that Raila is going to release a dossier? Because if that dossier is going to be released, honestly, it's on the interest of the same fuel. But there seems to be disturbed by that dossier. And that is why it shows that there is some cover-up. Number two, the threat of masses swinging Raila's side. And you see, I saw an article written, The Return of Raila. What's happening is Raila is talking what the masses is going through and what the masses want to hear. And the masses have also realized that there seems to be some disconnect between the ruling side and the population. So there is a threat that if Raila continues to confront the government on the issue of fuel, it's a big problem. But I think it's bad politics because even MPs confronted William Ruto in State House the other day, last week. And they confronted William Ruto telling him that, look here, things are bad, the government is a bit hostile. I also see a possibility that government is lacking positive projections amidst the promise of things will look better. We've been telling the country things will look better, but we lack the tangible solution. Sometimes we really attacked Moses Kure, but Moses Kure said the price of fuel will hike until February next year. He was speaking from a man who was informed, but we attacked him. The other day, Churchill was saying it's going to get to 300, and I tend to see that we've handled it casually. if there is a way this should be averted, I don't know why we cannot entertain any other plot to avert the fuel inflation. Dragging Uhuru Kenyatta's name in the fall is just to charge UDA. It's just to wink the UDA supporters, because UDA supporters were to be shown and to be told that the reason why they voted William Ruto is because Uhuru Kenyatta was wrong. So if you want to drag, to woodwink and hold those supporters, is to drag Uhuru Kenyatta's name in the picture. And that is what Osoro is saying. We're saying, give us what is the other end. I still repeat, and you can take some few coins from my end on this, that fuel cannot be addressed by propaganda. You cannot counter propaganda. What you can counter by propaganda is those protests. Yes, in protests you can say anaribu vitu zetu, because there's some rogue protesters that will be destroying things. But on the cost of fuel, on this one, people must feel the effect in the pump. And when you act, you will not even have to explain yourself. You just know. Kenyans will say they have done it. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. I want to leave out the video. Yesterday we managed to deliver the wheelchairs, and this is what transpired. I want to say thank you very much for those who turned out, and we made sure that we delivered. That was our project for November. The third week we have done, and of course, nasema asanteni sana. This is what transpired yesterday. So we're here as we had promised that we were coming to this other side of Kibera to deliver the wheelchairs. So because of the other residential training that the mothers of the kids had, we had to reschedule to this Sunday. And we've come here to Mekuja. We've brought the 5 wheelchairs that we had earlier stated. Even though we've not, wazazi wengine hawakumake, to manage around 3, yeah? Yeah. To manage 3, others are absent, but we've had the 3 that wako hapa. But the other wheelchairs we have, so tuna believe kwamba the team itawapatia wataweza kupewa the wheelchairs. Now I want to not introduce, but I want to give each parent atasema something a minute. But before them, I need to introduce these 2 ladies around me. I know you're seeing them you've seen them for the second time. So Kawira is normally our admin. Sasa tukishafanya, she's the person that an engine behind all this, and we also have else on this end. So Kawira, itabidi uongee na watu alafu tuwapatie.
Okay, so for me, I'm just going to say thank you for the people who came through. As you can see, we were able to get the 5 wheelchairs. And thank you so much for watu wenye waliweza pia come through for us, mkatupea the funds. We really appreciate. And also for the management, we just want to believe that wenye wajamii kukuja pia watapewa zenye zimepatikana. I think that's all for me. Thank you very much.
Mama Benja, I say something.
Okay. Mimi nasema ni asante kwa hiyo organization yenu ambayo mmeamua mnasaidia watoto wenye wana disability. Pia nashukuru kwa hii wheelchair ambayo mmetusaidia nayo. Kama mimi nilikuwa already, watu walikuwa wananicheka kila wakati ni mtoto wako kwa mgongo. So nimefurahia kwa sababu Benjamin atakapokalia hii wheelchair itakuwa ni kazi rahisi, ni kumsukuma tu nikimlete therapy, maybe nataka kuenda somewhere, ni kusukuma tu. Nashukuru kwa hayo ambayo mmetenda, na mzidi kutenda. Mbarikiwe sana. Ni hayo tu, na mbarikiwe.
Hata mimi naitwa Eva ama Mama Nancy ndio huyu. Kwangu ni kurudisha shukrani kwenu. Juu ni wengi, watu ni wengi wangetukumbuka lakini hawakutukumbuka, lakini nyinyi mmetukumbuka na sisi tuko hapa tukisema ni asante. Mungu awabariki na waongezee wema.
Na mimi naitwa Sara Kemto, Mama Gloria. Gloria ndio huyu already amekalia wheelchair. Na mimi nashukuru Mungu kwa sababu yenu. Mungu amewatumia, mmekuja kutusaidia. Ndio watoto kama Gloria ni mkubwa, kumbeba kwa mgongo ni shida. Nashukuru Mungu, Gloria amepata wheelchair, ataendea shule Januari. Wacha Mungu awabariki. Mali hiyo pesa imetoka, na Mungu airudishe. Mbarikiwe sana na Mungu awaongezee. Nimeshukuru.
Thank you.
Yes, so yes, on behalf of this amazing team, asanteni sana. I'm just short of words. We mentioned that intervention ya disability, we will try to still upscale. Nimerealize kwamba the number of kids in need of wheelchairs ni wengi sana. We cannot, but I believe with this start, as we roll into 2024, we'll be able to support and develop this as a full program and support the team that we have here so that we move forward. Asante sana.